The Christmas lights on my parents' tree blinked red and green, making pretty shadows all over the living room. I had spent every Christmas here for 29 years, and some things never changed. The ornaments were the same ones from when I was a little girl. There were shiny red balls, gold stars, and little figures of Santa Claus. The angel on top of the tree leaned a little to the left, just like it always had. It had a tiny crack in one wing, but no one had ever fixed it. My family's opinions about my life were also the same, as if frozen in time. They hadn't changed at all. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? Novelai, honey, have you updated your resume lately? Mom called from the kitchen. I could hear the mixture of worry and disappointment in her voice, the same one I had learned to recognize by the time I was 12 years old. I carefully hung a silver bell on a lower branch of the tree. Its little clapper jingled softly. I'm not looking for a job, Mom, I said quietly. Well, you should be, Mom said, coming into the living room carrying a tray of sugar cookies. The cookies were cut into shapes of Christmas trees, stars, and little candy canes, just like she had made every year. You can't just keep floating from one thing to another. You're almost 30. It's time to have a real, steady job. I know my age, I said, trying not to roll my eyes. Dad looked up from his newspaper, his reading glasses sitting carefully on his nose. Your mother is right. You need to have a stable position somewhere. Maybe in administration or some office work. Didn't your cousin Saphira get you that interview at her insurance company? I didn't go to that interview, I replied. Exactly the problem, Dad said, folding his newspaper with precise, careful movements. You can't be picky when you don't have steady employment. Any job is better than no job. My older brother, Orion, walked in from the garage. He brushed snow off his shoulders, shaking off flakes that had fallen on his coat. He had driven up from Boston with his wife, Celine, and their 2 children. Orion was a dentist. He was successful, respected, and exactly what Mom and Dad had dreamed their children would become. Talking about Novelli's job again, huh? Orion asked, grabbing a sugar cookie from Mom's tray. He grinned at me, the way he always did when he was teasing. Freelance consulting, entrepreneur, digital nomad, I said, shrugging. I have a job, Orion, I said. Right. That mysterious tech thing you never explain, he said, biting into his cookie. Mom, these cookies are perfect as always, Orion added. Celine appeared, guiding their 7-year-old twins toward the cookie tray. I saw on Facebook you haven't updated your LinkedIn in 2 years, she said. That's not great if you're job hunting. I could help you make it better if you want. I did a workshop on personal branding, I said. I appreciate that, Mom said. But she's being stubborn. She's been doing this for 3 years now. 3 years working from home on her laptop, never explaining what she actually does. No steady paycheck. We can see it's not sustainable. I had tried to explain it to them once, long ago. The first Christmas after I had left my position as a senior software engineer at Microsoft, I had tried to describe what my company, Data Flow Solutions, was all about. I told them we were building a very smart computer program, a kind of technology that could help hospitals predict problems with patients and make sure resources like beds, doctors, and medicines were used in the best way. Mom had smiled politely. Have you thought about going back to school to become a nurse instead? Healthcare is stable, dear, and you'd be helping people. I am helping people, Mom, I had said. Our platform helps hospitals save lives. But it's not a real job, is it? She had said. Working from your apartment, no office, no benefits. What happens if you get sick? What about retirement? That had been 3 years ago. After that, I stopped trying to explain. Since then, Data Flow Solutions has grown a lot. What started with just me and my co-founder, Amara, working from my apartment, had turned into a company with 85 employees across 3 offices. We had raised $180 million in Series B funding from investors. Hospitals like Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, and Cleveland Clinic were using our platform to help patients every day. Last month, the CDC had hired us to make a national pandemic preparedness system. But my family still thought I was unemployed, or at least between opportunities, as Mom liked to say. Novelai could come work at my practice, Orion said, sprawling out on the couch. I need someone to manage the front desk. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. Paid vacation. Benefits. That's very kind, Orion, I said, adjusting another ornament on the tree. But I'm fine where I am. Where you are is nowhere, Dad said, not unkindly. Just matter of fact. You're spinning your wheels. At your age, your mother and I had steady careers, a house, and savings. You're still living in that tiny apartment. No husband. No clear career path. My tiny apartment was actually a 2-bedroom loft in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. I bought it last year for $1.2 million. But my parents had only seen it once, and they had focused mainly on how I could make better use of the second bedroom if I got a roommate to help with rent. I hadn't bothered correcting them. "Dinner's almost ready," Mom announced. "Novalai, can you set the table?" The dining room was already decorated. I began placing silverware while the rest of the conversation drifted around me. Orion talked about his dental practice, his kids' school achievements, Celine's promotion, and my cousin's engagement to a lawyer. "And what about you, Novalai?" Aunt Zephyra asked as we sat down to eat. She had arrived while I was in the kitchen, wearing a fur coat and smelling faintly of perfume. "She's between opportunities," Mom said quickly, passing the mashed potatoes. "I'm not," I said. "The job market is tough." Aunt Zephyra nodded sympathetically. "My neighbor's daughter was unemployed for 6 months. She finally found a job at Starbucks. Not ideal, but at least it brought in some income." "Novali's situation is different," Dad said, carving the turkey. "She has a degree. Computer something?" "Computer science from MIT," I corrected. "So she's overqualified for most positions, but she doesn't have the practical experience employers want," Dad continued, speaking as if I weren't even sitting there. "It's a difficult position." Orion raised his wine glass. "Here's hoping the new year brings better opportunities." Everyone drank to that. I ate my turkey in silence. After dinner, we moved back to the living room. The TV was on with some holiday programs, showing colorful Christmas decorations, animated stories, and cheerful music. Mom began handing out presents while Dad poked at the fireplace, trying to get a fire started. "This is for you, Novalai," Mom said, handing me a wrapped box. "Practical gift this year. We thought you might need it." I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a leather portfolio case with a notepad, pen, and business card holder. The kind of thing people bring to job interviews. "First impressions matter," Mom explained. "Thank you," I said. "There's something else," Dad said, reaching behind the couch and pulling out an envelope. "Your mother and I discussed it. We know money's probably tight. This should help tide you over. Just until you get back on your feet." I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $5,000. "Mom, Dad, I can't," I said. "We insist," Mom said firmly. "You're our daughter. We're not going to let you struggle during the holidays. Use it for rent, groceries, whatever you need. And please, Novalai, really commit to finding something stable in January. No more of this freelance consultant nonsense." Orion leaned over, saw the check, and whistled. "Generous. When I was your age, I was already established. Didn't need handouts." "Orion," Celine said gently. "She's your sister. It's okay to help her." I folded the check and placed it back in the envelope on the coffee table. "I appreciate the thought, but I don't need financial help." "Pride isn't going to pay your bills," Dad said. "Take the money." "I'm not being prideful. I'm telling you I don't need it." "We've been over this," I said. Mom interrupted, frustrated. "You say you're fine, but we never see evidence of it. No steady job, no career progression." Suddenly, the TV volume jumped. My nephew had grabbed the remote and accidentally pressed the volume button while reaching for a cookie. "Breaking news this Christmas evening," the CNN anchor said, voice loud and serious. Mom reached for the remote. "Let's find something more festive," she said. "Wait," Orion said, sitting up straighter. "That company name sounds familiar." The screen changed. "The founder of Data Flow Solutions, one of the fastest-growing healthcare technology companies in America, has finally been revealed," the anchor continued. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from Amara, my co-founder. "I know you're with your family. I'm so sorry. The story leaked early. It's everywhere." The anchor said our company had made headlines earlier this year when we secured $180 million in funding. Our revolutionary healthcare platform was being used by over 400 hospitals and had saved an estimated 10,000 lives. Mom grabbed the remote. "Wait, Orion, is this Novalai?" My photo appeared on screen. Not a casual picture, but the official press photo taken for Forbes last month. Aunt Zephyra pointed. "That's Novalai." The anchor continued. "According to sources, Quinn personally owns 68% of Data Flow Solutions. At its current valuation of $2.1 billion, her personal net worth is approximately $1.4 billion. Dad's wine glass slipped from his hand, spilling red wine across the carpet. No one moved. That can't be right, Mom said, her voice shaky. The broadcast went on. Quinn graduated from MIT, started developing data flows technology while working at Microsoft, and has built a platform that uses advanced machine learning to help hospitals predict complications, optimize treatment plans, and allocate resources efficiently. The screen cut to a hospital, which I recognized as Johns Hopkins. A doctor in scrubs spoke. Data flow has changed how we practice medicine. The predictive accuracy is unlike anything we've seen before. We've reduced patient deaths in our ICU by 23% since implementation. Novalai Quinn's technology is saving lives every day. Back in the studio, the anchor said, the CDC recently awarded Data Flow Solutions a $300 million contract to build a national pandemic preparedness and response system. The company started with 2 employees and now has a team of 85 across offices in Seattle, Boston, and Washington, D.C. Orion had his phone out, typing frantically. This is real. Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, Forbes. It's all true. Celine whispered. You own $1 billion company? 2.1 billion. Orion said, staring at his phone. Novalai, this is really you? The TV switched to a screenshot of the Forbes article that wasn't supposed to be published until January. The headline read, The Invisible Billionaire. How Novalai Quinn Built Healthcare's Secret Empire. Mom made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a sob. We tried to ask Quinn for a comment, the CNN news person said, but her helpers said no. But the company did say who she was and shared a statement that they had already written. Data Flow Solutions started with one goal, to save lives using better information. Our founders' ideas and leadership made that goal real in hospitals all over America. They said they were proud of what they had done and of the patients they had helped. Dad finally spoke, his voice shaking and quiet. Novalai, he said, almost like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. I looked at my family. They were all staring at me, wide-eyed, mouths a little open. Mom looked pale. Her cheeks were white, and it was like the color had gone from her face. Dad looked like he might feel sick. Orion's face kept changing, going through surprise, confusion, and maybe even a little embarrassment. It's true, I said simply in the quiet living room. But you said... Mom tried to speak, but she couldn't finish the sentence. I tried to tell you many times, I said calmly. You didn't want to hear it. You always said, you work in tech. That's all you ever heard. Orion spoke next. You didn't say you owned a company, he said. He waved helplessly at the TV, where the news was now showing the outside of my office in Seattle. Big glass doors, a clean modern building. I started a healthcare technology company, I explained slowly. I told you what we do. We make computer programs that help hospitals save lives. You said it wasn't a real job, Orion said, still looking shocked. The news anchor on CNN introduced a tech expert, David Chin. Joining us now is tech analyst David Chin, the anchor said. David, help us understand why Data Flow Solutions is important in the healthcare industry. David appeared on the screen, his face serious and excited. This is one of the most important healthcare inventions in many years, he said. What Novalai Quinn has built isn't just a company that makes money. It's technology that is changing how doctors work. The computer programs, or algorithms, are so good that hospitals using Data Flow have better results for their patients. We are talking about thousands of people's lives saved. And she did this in just 3 years, starting from nothing. Starting from nothing? The news anchor asked, surprised. Yes, David said. She started in her small apartment. She used her own money at first. Then she got a small investment from people who believed in her. She stayed in full control of the company. Most people lose control when they get money, but she kept 68% of the company for herself. That is very smart and very rare in the technology world. And her technology is amazing and life-saving. Celine, my cousin, was reading her phone. Her eyes were wide. There's an article here about your apartment, she said. It says you bought it for Novalai. You paid cash for $1 million loft. 1.2 million, I corrected quietly. The article had the number wrong. Aunt Zephyra had both hands over her mouth. Her eyes were huge, and she couldn't stop staring at the TV. David continued talking on the TV. Another amazing thing about Novalai is that she stayed private. In technology, most founders want to be famous, like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. But she stayed almost completely unknown. No social media, no conference appearances, no interviews. She just worked on helping people and making her technology better. She focused on the mission, not fame. Why did she stay private? The news anchor asked. People who know her say she wants the work to speak for itself, David answered. She doesn't want to be famous. She just wants to solve problems and save lives. That is unusual in Silicon Valley, where many founders want to become celebrities before their companies even succeed. Mom suddenly walked to the window, shaking, looking out at the street below. Dad rubbed his face with both hands, looking like he didn't know what to say. The check, Dad said finally. We gave you a check. We tried to give you $5,000. I know you're a billionaire, and we tried to give $5,000 because we thought you couldn't pay rent. I know, Dad, I said quietly, trying not to cry. Orion was scrolling through articles on his phone. It says here you turned down a $900 million offer from Google last year. $900 million. And you said no. It wasn't enough, I said calmly. They wanted control of the technology. I wasn't willing to give that up. The technology is meant to save lives, not just make someone else rich. It wasn't about money. It was about keeping the mission intact. Not enough, Orion repeated, his voice cracking. I've been working 12 years to build a practice that might be worth maybe $2 million, and you turned down $900 million. It wasn't about money, Orion, I said again. It was about saving lives. That's always been the mission. That's why I started this company. Celine put her phone down carefully, like it might explode in her hands. It says here that Johns Hopkins Hospital credits your system with reducing ICU deaths by 23%, she said slowly. 23%, I repeated. That means about 400 fewer people died in their ICU last year because of our system. 400 people are alive because of our technology, because of our team, and because I decided to start this company. You just started it, Celine said softly, almost like she couldn't believe it. Yes, I said. And I built a billion-dollar company that is saving hundreds of lives, and no one knew about it. I tried to tell you. I really did. I tried to show you, but no one wanted to listen. Mom turned from the window, tears running down her face. Her hands were shaking. I called it a phase, she said. I told Zephyra that you were going through an unemployment phase. I know, I said. I gave you a portfolio case for job interviews. I know, Mom said, her voice soft and sad. I've been telling everyone my daughter can't keep a steady job. You were wrong, Mom. I wasn't failing. I was building something amazing, I said firmly. You never showed us, Mom said. You never brought us to your office. You never tried to explain what you were doing. I tried, Dad. Remember 2 Christmases ago? I said. I explained the funding round, the hospital partnerships, even the interest from the CDC. You said it sounded like a scam. You told me to get a real job. Dad opened his mouth, then closed it, looking down at the floor. Orion was still scrolling on his phone. MIT Alumni Magazine has a profile on you, he said finally. It says you're changing healthcare technology in ways nobody else has. It's all here. Every accomplishment. I sent it to the family email list, I said. I thought you had seen it. I probably deleted it, Orion admitted. I thought it was spam. Mom's phone kept buzzing nonstop. Everyone's texting, she said. Everyone wants to know about you. No one knew the truth. The TV now talked about how the company might be worth even more in the future. The reporter said that if we expand internationally and develop more ways to use our technology, the company could be worth $10 billion in 5 years. Celine stood suddenly. I need air, she said. She walked to the front door, opened it, and just stood there in the cold. The twins, who had been playing quietly in the corner with toys, finally spoke up. Is Aunt Novalai famous? One asked, looking up at Orion. Yes, buddy, Orion said quietly. She's very famous now. Very important. Cool, the other twin said. Is she rich like Iron Man? Richer probably, I said with a small smile. Dad cleared his throat and looked at me seriously. We owe you an apology, he said. Do you? I asked softly, my voice a little tired. Of course we do, he said. We treated you like you were failing for 3 years while you were building something extraordinary. You treated me the way you wanted to see me, I said. I tried to fix that idea in your mind, but you didn't want to listen. Every time I tried to explain, you gave advice or suggested I work as a receptionist. You didn't want to hear about my success because it didn't fit the story you had in your mind. Mom wiped her eyes. Why didn't you force us to understand? She asked. How? I said. I showed you articles. I explained the technology. I invited you to visit my office. You were always too busy or not interested. At a certain point, I realized I needed you to think I was failing. It made Orion's achievements look bigger in comparison. That's not true, Orion said quietly. Be honest, I said. When was the last time Mom and Dad spent an entire dinner talking about your accomplishments without comparing them to mine? He didn't answer. I've always been the measuring stick for failure in this family, I said. I've always been the weird one who liked computers too much, made different choices, and didn't follow the standard path. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I stopped needing your approval 3 years ago when I started this company. We're your family, Dad said. You should need our approval. No, Dad. I should have your support, I said. Approval means you judge whether my choices meet your standards. Support means you trust me to make my own decisions and back me up no matter what happens. The TV had moved on to showing our Boston office. People were walking through a modern workspace, talking to each other, working at standing desks, sitting in glass-walled rooms. The company culture was reportedly excellent. Employees said it was one of the best places to work in tech. Aunt Zephyr's phone rang again. She ignored it. She had silenced it entirely. Everyone in town will know by tomorrow. Everyone in the country knows now, Celine said from the doorway. Orion looked at his phone. BBC is covering it. So is Reuters. You're trending #1 on Twitter. I checked my own phone. 63 missed calls. 147 text messages. Hundreds of emails. My PR team was panicking on our Slack channel. Amara had texted me from the bathroom hiding. Parents keep calling. Do we have a statement ready? I typed back. Use the standard one. I'll handle my family myself. Mom slowly approached me, like I was a wild animal that might run away. I'm so sorry, she said. I know. I regret everything I said. I regret how I treated your success like it was a phase or a joke. I should have believed in you. Can you forgive me? I looked at her carefully. Really looked at her. She was 62 years old, wearing the same Christmas sweater she had worn every year. Her hair was styled the same way she had worn it for decades. My mother, who had raised me and loved me, had underestimated me for 3 whole years. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Right now, I'm just tired. I'm tired of being seen as a disappointment. I'm tired of always defending my choices. I was tired of trying to prove that I knew what I was doing. Every time I talked about my work or my ideas, I could see the doubt on people's faces. Even my own family sometimes didn't believe me. But you don't have to prove anything anymore, right? Not now. If this story hadn't come out, if CNN hadn't told everyone who I really was, would anyone believe me right now? Or would you still be giving me advice about jobs, telling me to just work in retail, or suggesting I get a real career? No one said anything. That's what hurt the most, Mom. Not that you didn't understand that I was doing well, but that you didn't trust me when I told you I was successful. You needed proof from big companies, from Forbes, from CNN, before you believed me. Dad put down his wine glass carefully. What do you need from us? He asked. I shrugged. I don't know. Maybe just a little recognition. Recognition that you were wrong, that I was right, that I made good choices even when they didn't look like the choices you would have made. Dad's eyes softened. You were right about everything, the company, the decisions, the mission. You're brilliant. You've done something amazing that will save lives and change healthcare. You're going to be one of the most successful people in the country. We missed it because we were too busy trying to fit you into a box that made sense to us. Orion, my older brother, stood up, walked over, and extended his hand. You're better than all of us. I'm sorry I didn't see it. I shook his hand. I'm not better. I'm just different, and I'm good at what I do. Orion shook his head. You're not just good. You're amazing. Look at that graph on the TV. He pointed at the big screen showing charts of my company's growth. You're world class. People are going to study what you built. Business schools, textbooks, definitely. They're going to talk about your work for years. Celine, my best friend who had come with me, came back inside and closed the door against the cold. No lie, I've worked in marketing for 15 years. I know viral success when I see it. By tomorrow morning, you're going to be the biggest story in tech. Probably the biggest business story of the year. I know, I said. I was trying to avoid this. I wanted to stay private so I could work without distractions. It's easier to focus that way. Celine smiled gently. That's over now. Once this story starts, you can't stop it. You're going to be famous whether you like it or not. My phone rang. I looked at the caller ID. Anderson Cooper's producer. I didn't pick up. Then another number, Forbes. Declined. Another number. Things declined. You should probably answer some of those, Orion said. Not tonight, I said. Why not? Because tonight was supposed to be Christmas with my family. And even if everything is chaotic, even if CNN exposed me against my wishes, I'm still here. I'm still trying to have Christmas dinner with you because that's what matters, family. Even when you drive me crazy, I said with a small laugh. Mom started crying again, but this time she smiled. You're a better person than we deserve, she said. Probably, I said. But you're stuck with me anyway. Then the doorbell rang. We all froze. Are those reporters? Dad asked. I checked the security camera on my phone. Worse, I said. Don't answer, Aunt Zephyra hissed. They can see the lights. They know we're home. Dad opened the door. The Hendersons from next door were there, wearing matching Christmas sweaters and holding a bottle of wine. We saw the news, Mrs. Henderson said excitedly. We didn't know Novalai was. We just wanted to say congratulations. Thank you, I said from the living room. Could we get a picture? Mr. Henderson asked, already holding his phone. Our friends will never believe we live next to a billionaire. I shook my head. I'd really prefer not. Just one quick photo, he said. Dad let them in. They posed in front of the Christmas tree while Orion took the picture. Then they wanted individual photos and a group shot with my parents. This is so exciting, Mrs. Henderson said. Wait until the neighborhood hears about this. They finally left. But before the door closed, another car pulled up. And then another. It's starting, Celine said. The circus. She was right. Over the next hour, 7 more visitors came, neighbors, family friends, people from Mom's book club, Dad's golf friends. Everyone suddenly wanted to connect with the family of the billionaire tech founder. By 9 p.m., I had enough. I need to go, I said firmly. You can't leave, it's Christmas, Mom protested. It stopped being Christmas about 3 hours ago. Now it's a media circus, and I need to get ahead of it. Stay here. We'll keep people away. There are photographers across the street. Tomorrow morning, this house will be surrounded. I need to get back to Seattle, meet my team, plan our response. This is going to be the biggest week for the company ever. I have to manage it. Dad looked out the window. How did they find you so fast? I'm not hard to find. My address is in a dozen databases. Once CNN confirmed my identity, journalists started digging. What do we do? Dad asked. Nothing. Don't answer questions. Don't give interviews. Refer everything to our PR team. I'll send you their contact info. Mom grabbed my hand. Before you go, please. I need you to know how proud I am, how sorry I am, how much I love you. I know, Mom, I said softly. Do you? Because I feel like I spent 3 years telling you the opposite, she said. You did. So, how can you forgive me? I asked. I squeezed her hand. I'm not saying I forgive you yet. I just know you love me. That's different. Forgiveness takes time, but love was never the question. I always knew you loved me. You just didn't respect me. Now I do because CNN told you to, because Forbes confirmed it, because the world is telling you I'm successful. But I needed your respect before all that. I needed you to believe in me when it was just me telling you my dreams. That's what mattered. Mom nodded, tears falling again. I'll earn it back. However long it takes. I hugged them all, Mom, Dad, Orion, Celine, even Aunt Zephyra. The twins gave high fives. Then I grabbed my coat and headed for the door. Novalai, Orion called out. For what it's worth, I'm really proud of you. Not because of money or news, but because you did something meaningful. You're saving lives. That's bigger than anything I do. You're a dentist, Orion. You help people every day. That's different, not less important, I said. I stepped outside into the cold. Photographers started taking pictures and shouting questions. Miss Quinn, how does it feel to be revealed? Miss Quinn, will you do interviews? What's next for Dataflow? I didn't answer. My car was a simple Honda Civic I'd had for 4 years. Not a fancy sports car people expected from a billionaire. As I drove away, I saw my family watching from the window. Mom was still crying. Dad had his arm around her. Orion and Celine stood behind them, the twins pressed to the glass. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. I love you. I'm so sorry. I texted back. I know. Love you too. Talk tomorrow. Another text from Orion. You really turned down $900 million. You're crazy, but also my hero. I smiled. The highway stretched out before me, dark and empty. Ahead was the rest of my life, now lived in public, watched and analyzed by people who never noticed me before. But ahead, too, was my work, the mission, and the patients whose lives I would save with the technology one spent 3 years building while my family thought I was unemployed. That made everything worth it. Even the chaos, even the exposure, even the Christmas dinner from hell where CNN revealed my identity to my family who had spent 3 years thinking I was broken. I turned up the radio. Holiday music filled the car, and despite everything, I laughed. Somewhere in the chaos and absurdity, it felt almost perfect. My family had spent 3 years underestimating me, and CNN picked Christmas Day. The day we were all together, the day they tried to fix me. To show the world I was spectacularly, publicly, and completely successful. If I had planned it myself, I couldn't have written it better. I thought about my company, about the patients who would depend on the technology, about the doctors and nurses who would use it. They didn't care about my face on TV or my name in Forbes. They cared about saving lives. That was the part that mattered most. I thought about my family. I understood them better now. They weren't bad people. They just didn't see me for who I really was. They saw a kid who didn't follow the usual path. They worried. They tried to help in the only way they knew. And now they had seen the truth. They had to process it, and it would take time, but at least now they had a chance. The cold air in the car felt good. I breathed it in. I loved Seattle at night, quiet and empty. The street lights passed over the windshield, one after another, like tiny stars leading me forward. My mind raced with plans, strategies, and ideas. The work I had started was finally going to make a difference in the world. That's what kept me going. That's why I had worked so hard, even when nobody believed in me. My phone buzzed again. Another message. This time from Celine. "You okay?" "I will be," I typed back. "I just need to get back to work. We have a lot to do." Celine replied. "I know. You've always been like this. Focused. Driven. Amazing." I smiled. "Thanks. See you tomorrow." I looked out the window at the city lights. Everything was moving, buzzing, alive. And so was I. I had built something incredible, something that mattered. Money and fame didn't matter. Impact did. Lives mattered. Families mattered. The people depending on our technology mattered more than anything else. I laughed again softly to myself. The world might know my name now. People might want interviews, stories, pictures. But that wasn't what I cared about. What mattered was the work. The patients. The mission. And the fact that, after 3 years, my family finally understood. Maybe not fully yet, but they were starting to. And that was enough for now. I pressed the pedal a little harder. The highway stretched ahead. The night was dark, but my heart was full. Full of hope, determination, and a strange kind of joy. I had made it. I had done what I set out to do. And now, even if the world was watching, even if reporters chased me and cameras flashed, I could keep moving forward. I had work to do, and nothing else mattered more. And somehow, in all the chaos and the exposure, I felt almost perfect. Because I had proven something, not to the world, not to CNN, not even to Forbes, but to myself. I could do it. I could make a difference. I could succeed on my own terms. And Christmas night, messy and loud as it was, would always be the night I finally felt seen for who I really was.